Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my Game Week 15 League 2 score predictions versus Charlton Athletic fan Tyler Rowlinson. If you do go on to enjoy today's video, make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. 100 likes on today's video will be massively appreciated, and don't forget to get your score predictions in down in the comment section down below.
So Sam has kindly invited me onto his channel to allow me to showcase my knowledge, or lack thereof admittedly, of League 2. Charlton were almost there last season, but we were just about good enough to keep ourselves up. Nevertheless, I have been asked to give my thoughts and predictions for the upcoming game week in League 2. Thanks again to Sam for letting me on the channel. It's greatly appreciated. Be sure to subscribe to Sam's channel and come over to my channel and hit the subscribe button as well. That would be greatly appreciated. And without any further hesitation, let's get straight into my predictions for upcoming games in League 2.
Let's start out then by having a look at how myself and Cape United got on for our Game Week 14 League 2 score predictions. As you can see, I accumulated the 4 points, just 4 accurate results for me, no accurate scores, whereas Caden did very well. He accumulated 8 points, which is the joint best, alongside Jordan Richards, and obviously we had Matt Messi on 10, who is currently out in front for the guests. So that does now put the guests on 71 points. I'm on 69, with Caden getting an accurate score as well. I believe that was Swindon 1 at Gillingham 1. I'm pretty sure he predicted that one accurately correct. So for the first time in a long time, the guests now have more points than me. So I need to up my game in this one. Let's get into it. We'll start out firstly then with the early kickoffs on Saturday. Harrogate Town versus Morecambe FC is up first. Then Harrogate currently occupying 17th in the table. They've only picked up 1 point out of their last possible 9. Obviously Morecambe sat bottom of the table, 5 points adrift already. They've lost their last 3 straight league games, lost the last 4 out of 5, only won 1 of their first 14 as well. But I'm actually going to back Morecambe to pick up their second win of the season away at Harrogate. I'm going to go 2-1 to Derek Adams' side. Let's see what Tyler thinks.
So starting things off with Harrogate versus Morecambe, the second lowest scoring team versus the second worst defence. So certainly not a classic coming up this weekend to kick things off. Harrogate started the season really poor but have picked it up a little bit, whereas Morecambe find themselves bottom of the league, absolute mess on and off the pitch. They're really not looking good with 1 win all season so far. With those parameters though, with Harrogate being the second lowest scoring team and Morecambe having the second worst defence, there could be a chance for Morecambe here to get a result, and that's what I'm predicting them to do. I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. I think Morecambe will walk away with a point here.
Salford City versus Carlisle United is up next. Then Salford have been on a pretty decent run of form recently. 8 points picked up out of their last possible 12 available, compared to Carlisle, who are sat in the relegation zone at this moment in time with the worst goal difference in the league. 4 points from safety, 2 points picked up out of their last possible 15. I can only see this finishing in a home win, so I'm going to go 2-1 to Cal Robinson's side. Let's see if Tyler agrees.
Next up we have Salford versus Carlisle. Carlisle, very similarly to Morecambe, have had a really bad start to the season. They are the worst defensive team in the league, 28 goals conceded, which is hardly surprising because they do have Sam Lavelle and Terrell Thomas in their defensive line. Former Charlton players, absolutely shambolic, but they do find themselves in the bottom 4. Salford find themselves on a good run of form at the moment. They're unbeaten in their last 4, so with Carlisle's current form, they are in desperate need of a result here, but with their away form not being so good, I think there's only one way this is going to go. I'm going to back Salford to win this 2-0.
Into the Saturday 3 PM kickoffs then, AFC Wimbledon versus Grimsby Town is up next. Then Wimbledon currently sat 13th in the table. They've won 2 and lost 3 of their last 5, but I'm pretty sure they've won every game at Plough Lane so far this season, compared to Grimsby, who've been flying recently, still yet to draw a football match as well. They've won 7 and lost 7 of their opening 14, just 1 point off of the playoffs at this moment in time as well. But with Wimbledon's strong home record, I'm going to go 2-0 to Johnny Jackson's side. Let's see if Tyler agrees.
Wimbledon versus Grimsby, I think, will be a really interesting game. Wimbledon, of course, are 3 games behind everybody else due to their issues with their pitch. I think if they'd actually, hypothetically, if they won all 3 of those games in hand, they would be second at the moment. So they've been playing really well at the moment, and fair play to former Charlton boss Johnny Jackson. I've been keeping a close eye on him since he left Charlton. They've conceded 9 goals all season, which I believe is the best defensive record in the league, whereas Grimsby have scored 18 but conceded 25. So they do know where the back of the net is, but they have got quite a leaky defence. I think this would be quite a close game between 2 teams that are pushing to try and get into the playoffs. But for me, I'm going to slightly edge Wimbledon with this one. I think they're going to win 2-1.
Barrow AFC versus Colchester is up next. Then Barrow have been on a really poor run of form recently. Just 2 points picked up out of their last possible 12 available. Compared though to Colchester, who haven't really done much better in all honesty. No win in at least least their last 5 matches, just 2 wins from their first 13 league games, 3 points picked up out of their last possible 15 available. Barrow have been pretty strong at home over the last couple of years, so I'm going to back Stephen Clement's side for a 1-0 home win. Let's see what Tyler thinks.
Next up we have Barrow versus Colchester, one side that is expected to be near the top come the end of the season and another team that have really struggled towards the start. Barrow, of course, fighting near the playoffs. You probably would expect them to be there come the end of the season, but they have had a bit of a dip in form recently, winless in their last 4 games. Colchester are just 4 points above the drop with 2 wins all season, but you would think that with Barrow's current run of form, this is a great opportunity for Colchester to nick a result here, and that's exactly what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with a really surprising result here. I think Colchester are going to nick this 1-0. Got a weird feeling, I don't know why.
Cheltenham Town versus Bromley FC, 16th versus 18th. I don't think this one will be the greatest game for a neutral, in all honesty. Although Cheltenham have picked up 7 points out of their last possible 9 available, they're slowly starting to turn their bad start to the season around. Compared to Bromley, they obviously had a very good start, then went on a really bad run of form, and then recently just 1 loss in their last 5, a win and 3 draws in between all that as well. So I think this game is going to finish as a draw. I'm going to go with a goalless stalemate, 0-0. Let's see what Tyler thinks.
Cheltenham versus Bromley, I think will be a really interesting game. Bromley, of course, really started the season really well after coming up from the National League, but I think reality's kind of settled in a little bit and they've kind of dipped off. They find themselves in 18th coming into this one. Cheltenham have had a really bad reintroduction back into League 2 following their relegation, like much of the newly relegated sides, apart, of course, for Port Vale. But Cheltenham find themselves in 16th place. I see this only going one way, to be honest with you. Both teams in a little bit of no man's land in the midfield at the moment of the table. I'm going to go for 1-1 draw with this one.
Chesterfield FC versus Accrington Stanley. Chesterfield have been flying recently, so they're slowly starting to turn a few of them frustrating home draws into wins. Their last league match, they absolutely pumped Morecambe, scored 5 goals away from home. They scored 28 goals, the most in the division so far this season, and they've only lost 2 of their opening 14 matches. Compared though to Accrington Stanley, they're sat down in 20th. They've only picked up 1 point out of their last 2 matches, but before that, they won at their last 3. With Chesterfield being at home, they're slowly starting to turn them draws into wins, like I mentioned. I'm going to go 4-1 to Paul Cook's side. Let's see if Tyler agrees.
We have Chesterfield versus Accrington. Accrington had finally picked up some results coming into the last few games. They'd won 3 in a row in their last 5 matches, which was, funnily enough, their first 3 wins of the season. But they are the worst away side in the division with, I believe, 3 points away from home all season. Whereas Chesterfield have lost twice all season, but have drawn 7, the most draws in the entire league. But they are a very difficult side to beat. With Accrington's poor way of form and with Chesterfield flying at the moment, currently doing really well in the playoff spots, I see this only going one way. I think Chesterfield could get a really good result here. I think they're going to win this 3-1.
But before we do go any further with today's video, don't forget to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. Can we try and hit 100 likes on today's video? That'd be massively appreciated. And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. How do you think your team will get on this weekend? Doncaster Rovers versus Notts County is one of the biggest games of this game week. It's 4th versus 3rd. 2 sides who come into it off the back of a pretty solid run of form as well. Both sides have only got 1 defeat in their last 5 matches. Notts County have drawn 2 and won the other 2. Doncaster have won 3 and drawn the other one. So they're on very similar runs of form at the moment. Doncaster have been very good at home. Notts County, though, I do see them going to Grant McCann's side and picking up a point. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. Let's see what Tyler thinks.
Next up we have, for me, the game of the game week. Doncaster versus Notts County, 3rd versus 4th. Notts County, of course, sitting in the automatic promotion spots. Both teams coming into this game on 26 points and both in ridiculously good form, both playing some really good football at the moment. I think this is set to be a really, really good game. I can see big scoreline in this one and some goals being scored. I'm slightly going to edge the home side in this one. I think Doncaster are going to win it, but it's going to be a very tight, fair and a really entertaining one. I think Doncaster win this 3-2.
Fleetwood Town versus my team Bradford City is up next then. Fleetwood have been on a really bad run of form recently. 3 points picked up out of their last possible 15 available. They've only won 4 of their opening 13 and they've really struggled to get over the line in home matches. Drawing in the 98th minute against Salford last time out in the league, and then a couple of weeks before that they were 2-0 up at home to Morecambe, ended up throwing that lead away and drawing 2-2. Compared to my team Bradford though, we're 7th in the table, occupying that final playoff spot. Away from home we haven't been amazing so far this season, but recently we have slowly turned that bad run of form around, and after a defeat and a draw in our last 2 matches we'll certainly be looking to get back to winning ways. I am going to back the Bantams for a 1-0 away win. Let's see what Tyler thinks about my team.
And similarly to Doncaster, Notts County, I'm predicting there to be goals in this one between Fleetwood Town and Bradford City. Bradford, of course, were unbeaten in their last 5 before suffering defeat in the last game week, so that's kind of stopped them in their tracks a little bit. Fleetwood have quite plainly simply drawn too many games. That's what's really let them down. They have got a positive goal difference, but what has really let them down is they just haven't been able to get over that finish line and get the goals and score goals in the right end and get the victory. And I'm predicting them to be exactly the same, to be honest with you. I'm expecting a draw in this one, but I think it'll be a really entertaining game at Highbury. Fleetwood 2, Bradford 2 is my prediction in that one.
Gillingham FC versus Port Vale a couple of weeks ago would have been probably the biggest game of the game week, but with Gillingham's horrendous run of form, 5 defeats and 1 draw in their last 6 matches compared to Port Vale, who have won at least their last 5. Port Vale probably the most informed team in the division compared to Gillingham, who've obviously been the worst form team in the division at the moment. I can only see this finishing in a very comfortable 2-0 away win for Darren Moore's side. I think the bad run of form is going to continue for the Gills. If another defeat was to come in this one, Gillingham fans, would you start to ask questions about Matt Bonner's future? Apart from that, let's see what Tyler thinks.
Next up, we head to Priestfield for Gillingham versus Port Vale. Port Vale, of course, absolutely flying at the moment under Darren Moore. 4 points clear at the top of the table, 5 wins in a row. Absolutely stupendous run of form. Whereas Gillingham, up until their very recent draw, had lost 5 in a row. So I guess in that sense, it's quite easy to predict Port Vale to win. And that is what I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for 2-1 win for Port Vale. But I do expect Gillingham to put up a good fight. They do need a good run of form. Ultimately, they had lost 1 game all season up until those 5 losses in a row. So they've hit bad form at the wrong time. I expect Gills to put on a good show and, give them a good fight. But for me, Port Vale are just too strong. I'm going to go Port Vale to win this 2-1.
MK Dons versus Swindon Town is up next then. Milton Keynes have won their last 3 straight league matches and will obviously be looking to bounce back after a disappointing FA Cup result last time around. Compared though to Swindon Town, obviously picked up a draw in their last match against Gillingham. I think they scored in the last minute in that game, but they have still only won 2 of their opening 14 matches. I think Ian Holloway, while he is going to do a decent job with Swindon, take them away from them relegation sort of places, I think in this one they are going to struggle a little bit, so I'm going to go 3-0 to the home side. Let's see what Tyler thinks.
Next up, we head to the Soulless Bowl, MK Dons versus Swindon Town. MK, of course, coming off the back of 3 wins in a row, although won't be doing very well after their defeat in the FA Cup to arch rivals AFC Wimbledon, the real Dons. Sorry, MK Dons fans. They sit just outside the playoffs coming into this one. Swindon, of course, under the guidance of Ian Holloway now, which is just absolutely ridiculous. They sit just above the relegation zone. Of course, they'll be hoping for a new manager bounce, and I think they'll nick a point in this one. I'm going to go 1-1.
Tranmere Rovers versus Newport County. Again, I don't think this one is going to be the most entertaining of games for the neutral. Tranmere have only scored 8 goals in their opening 13 matches so far this campaign, and Newport County have really struggled away from home. You look at their last 5 matches, 3 defeats, a win and a draw. Obviously, they picked up 4 points out of their last possible 6 available, but they did have a run where they lost 3 on the bounce. Compared to Tranmere, they've lost 3, drawn 1 and won 1 as well, so exact same in terms of their last 5, but I think this one is not going to be a very entertaining game, so I'm just going to go with a 1-1 draw. Let's see what Tyler thinks.
I'll keep this one fairly short and sweet. Tranmere Rovers versus Newport County. Tranmere can't score this season with 8 goals so far this year, whereas Newport can't seem to keep goals out of their net with 24 goals conceded. So you put those two together and you're going to get a boring 0-0 draw. That's where I can see that going.
And the final game to go through and predict this weekend is Walsall FC versus Crewe Alexandra. 2 sides have had very good seasons so far. No one expected Walsall to be up in 2nd, and I don't think many people saw Crewe being up in 5th as well after losing some of their better players in the summer. Walsall recently have been on a little bit of a rocky run of form. For a team who are in 2nd, just 2 wins in their last 5 isn't amazing, but it is 8 points picked up out of their last possible 15. You'd certainly say 8 points out of your last 15 is playoff form rather than automatic form, but they win their game in hand, they're 1 point off of top. Crewe win their game in hand, they go into the automatic promotion places as well. Just 6 losses from both sides opening 26 matches if you combine them. I'm actually going to back Lee Bell's side though for a 2-0 away win. I think it'll be a bit of a shock one in this game. For the final time in today's video, let's see what Tyler thinks.
And then to wrap up this video for the final game of these predictions, we go to Walsall versus Crewe. Certainly the surprise package this season, Walsall. I did not expect them to be doing this well coming into this game. They sit 2nd place coming into this game, 4 points behind Port Vale with a game in hand. Crewe also have a game in hand like Walsall, and they are 2 points behind the Saddlers in 5th, heading into the playoff places, looking at the automatic promotion spots. I think this one will again be a really interesting game. Some really interesting games in this game week, but I think it will be the Saddlers that just about edge this one at the best score. I'm going to go over 2-1 win to the Saddlers over Crewe.
And there we have it then. There are our game week 15 League 2 score predictions. If you have enjoyed, make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. Can we try and hit 100 likes on today's video? That'd be massively appreciated. And don't forget to get your score predictions in down in the comment section down below. How do you think your team will get on this weekend? Thank you all for watching. Make sure to check out Tyler's channel. That wasn't English. Make sure to check out Tyler's channel. The link as always will be down in the description down below. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you very soon for another one.